YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Today I got my Cincinnati Bengals record predictions. Going to go game by game, give you my prediction, then we'll circle back. I'll do best case scenario in my opinion, and then worst case, kind of get a couple different record ideas here. I do think the Bengals are pretty rangy. I know, most aren't predicting to be that good, but I do think that best case scenario actually can look pretty solid there, but we'll see. I'm doing this for every team, of course. This is the last of the AFC North. We're going to go NFC North next. And then we'll keep going on. So there's a playlist full of these, but we'll eventually get to playoff predictions and Super Bowl predictions more. And you guys are also getting involved here, voting on Twitter for who wins each division, basically creating a future video voted by the fans. So like, subscribe, follow that Twitter. Any link you're looking for, description and comments. Checking those out, much appreciated. About to post this poll. So once I finish my record predictions for a single division, I post this poll. So we've already posted a couple. This should go up right when I'm done recording this, so you guys vote. And then make sure you follow Twitter while you're there. Definitely worth it there. But for this video, we're using playoffpredictors.com for all of these. Very cool website. Check it out if you're interested in kind of playing along here and get an idea on what your prediction could be. The Bengals, it was interesting because as the last season's ending, I always got in my mind, what teams I think could break out or who's going to be a lot better next year. I kind of predict in my head the offseason and the development. And the Bengals were in my mind. The Bengals were definitely there. Like, this team actually could be sneaky good if they do the offseason right here. And I don't want to say they had a bad offseason because they did add some pretty solid players throughout free agency and the draft. They did lose a little bit. They didn't maybe go get as many solid top players as I thought they would. So I actually have slowed down on that. I was actually once thinking they could actually maybe put up a fight with the Ravens, Browns, those teams at the top, but maybe they didn't hit the offseason as well as I thought they would. Not that it was bad. There's still some questions about the offensive line, and mainly the pass rush to me. The edge rush is actually a big problem for me. They could be good with the future there. It's definitely a big-time team of the future. Hopefully Joey Burrow stays healthy. But to week one, again, I'm going to go through my predictions right now. We're going to circle back and do best case. The best case one's a big one for this because I do think it'll be a pretty big range here on what my prediction is. Best case, worst case. Vikings in week one, Mike Zimmer playing his old team here where he was defensive coordinator. This could be a pretty good game. I actually think a lot rides on Danielle Hunter. He hasn't shown up for the Vikings. I think that's a big piece in this game because with him, the Vikings pass rush is pretty darn good, and it could give Joe Burrow, coming off that injury, some problems. Without him, Joe Burrow's going to have some time, and having those three wide out there, basically not wide. Tyler Boyd plays in the slot a ton. Best slot receiver in my opinion in the NFL. But having the variety of receivers out there at once could be a problem for the Vikings secondary, I suppose. But I'm gonna go with the Vikings, and then they get things going on the ground early. Open up for the pass. I think they'll have some success in terms of the pass. This should be a pretty good game, actually, though, for week one. Bengals, Bears, man. The Bears just might get too much pressure in this game. I do think it's a pretty good game as well because the Bears, I think you throw on the Bears. I do think you can pass on the Bears these days. It's not like the same it was a couple years ago. So it's the same thing as the Vikings game. They could find some success. I think the Bears pass rush might just be the difference in the Bengals' lack of. This could be Andy Dalton versus the Bengals here. Joe Burrow's much better, but that might not be the difference here. I'm going to take the Bears. Did the Steelers video already. Steelers pass rush might be too much for them. I do think they'll split, though. If you watch the Steelers, I had it like this. We're already skipping forward to that. I did have a split. I love the way that game late in the year, a primetime game, without Joe Burrow, the Bengals dominated that game. It was because the game plan. That was a hell of a game for Zach Taylor and company. They game planned super well for that game. So maybe they're developing the coaching staff and they're able to. They could be a surprise team. I can't wait to circle back and do best case because I do think it's realistic they can have a lot more wins than I'm about to predict them to have. Thursday night football in Cincinnati, Jaguars, Bengals, too hype. This is going to be a shootout. Absolute shootout. That's going to be a fun Thursday night game. Give me Joe Burrow over Trevor Lawrence here. Packers and Bengals. Yeah, give me the Packers. Probably a high-scoring game. I would trust the Packers a little more in that one. Lions, Bengals. Pretty good matchup here for the Bengals, actually. Even though it's in Detroit, the Lions aren't going to present that crazy of a pass rush. That's kind of what the Bengals want to avoid playing, obviously. I mean, every team does. secondary is extremely young for Detroit. I think Joe Burrow and those wide receivers could have a day in this game. Ravens, I picked them in this game. This game, I did the Jets video. I did pick the Jets. This is one I'm kind of back and forth on. Similar to the Jags game, I think the young offenses, I think a shootout in these games. I do think the Jets can get some good interior pressure with Quinnen Williams in this game. Carl Lawson going against his former team. I do think Joe Burrow can have a day in the air here. It's a good game. This is one I'm back and forth on. I did pick the Jets originally. I'm back and forth on that because I do like the Bengals secondary. I might switch that pick. I might switch that one because I don't. The Jets might have a little better pass rush, mainly because Quinnen Williams in there. They're both going to throw the ball very effectively. They got their receivers out there. We're going to see a lot of 3 receiver sets out there. But I think the secondary difference. I do love the Jets safeties, but I look at the corner difference there. I'm back and forth. I can argue myself on that one. Go with the Bengals. We'll go with the. That's one I definitely can change my mind on a couple times. I had the Browns here, bye week. I actually think the Bengals, this is a good part of the schedule. Even though they're not the easiest teams, this is where the young Bengals, I think, start to catch fire. I love the way they match up against the Raiders. The Raiders' defense is heading in the right direction, but I think this Bengals offense, so the balance, run the ball, air the ball out downfield. They can play small ball in the passing game as well. With those receivers, I think it's just too much for the Raiders. I really think this is probably going to be another absolute shootout. I think this is an offense the Raiders could actually struggle with here. And it had to be in the Steelers, of course. Justin Herbert versus Joe Burrow. It's a really good game. Another one of those shootouts here. I'm actually going to go with the Bengals here. I think the Chargers are the better team right now, but feeling the Bengals in this one, it's just going to be whoever has the ball last in this game. Which quarterback makes that mistake could end up losing the game here. I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow in an absolute shootout battle of the young quarterbacks here, and all about matchup here. I'm actually gonna go with the Bengals in this one. I really like the matchup against the 49ers. 49ers, one thing, very good team, but it's the ultimate team you worry about the health, especially this late in the year. Are they going to be fully healthy? Another thing, I love their front seven. Yeah, will it be healthy? And that's usually the factor against the Bengals. But I'm not in love with the 49ers secondary, actually. I do think, and they're not really used to seeing this, 3 receivers out there at once. They're going to pass the hell out of the ball in this game. They're going to get the ball out quick. So it's going to be a little bit different of a challenge for the 49ers. I don't know if they present something on offense. It's a good offense, but present something that makes it a tough matchup for the Bengals defense. The Bengals got playmakers in their secondary, Jesse Bates, whoever it is, Garoppolo or Lance. I think they are the ones that get that extra turnover while they're pretty effective in the passing game against the 49ers secondary. I think the difference is in secondaries wins this game for the Bengals here and maybe the health of the 49ers. You do worry about the health of the Bengals a little bit too. Hopefully Joe Burrow's good to go. I don't really see any reason for him to be hurt. Just because he got hurt last year doesn't really mean he's going to get hurt again. So a little bit of a streak there. I took the Broncos in this one. It's a tough matchup, I think. The Broncos will run the crap out of the ball, kind of wear you out. Also think they can get that pass rush on Joe Burrow, and they have the secondary to slow him down a little bit at least. So 2 things on both sides of the ball there where it's a pretty good matchup. I did go with the Ravens this one, but the Bengals could get one on them. I think just Lamar Jackson's just so much of a problem for them, and they're going to – last year we've seen it. They just blitzed the absolute hell out of the Bengals, and that's what the Ravens do. So it could be a matchup problem. Chiefs-Bengals, I went with the Chiefs on that one. I went with the Browns again, so you end up on a little bit of a losing streak. So I got 7-10. They're definitely heading in the right direction. But you go back in best-case scenario, I think between the Vikings and the Bears, I think they could win one of those games very easily. So if we're looking at best case, we'll give them the Vikings game for best case. I don't know if they're going to win both. They could. While the Vikings secondary might be getting a little, they could throw the ball a little better on the Bears because the secondary seems to be declining. So it could be more like either one. I think best case, we can't just sit here and say they're good. I mean, they can win both, but we're trying to be as realistic as possible here. So I think they win one of those games, pretty interchangeable there. I did have them beating the Jags. That can go either way. I did have them beating the Lions. Can go either way. Definitely go here. I mean, they can get one on the Browns too. I think they're more likely to get one on the Browns. I think the Browns have a better roster, but they're more than the Ravens. But I think they're more likely to get one on the Browns than the Ravens probably. I did have them going on the streak, so if we're talking best case. And we can maybe throw this one. So 9-8. I don't know which one. I mean, maybe they can win both these games here. I can see them winning up to 10 games. I just don't think they're quite ready yet. Worst case, they really realistically could lose a lot of these games here. I just don't see them. They're a team that can beat anybody and lose. I mean, look at the Titans game last year. They were just not supposed to win that game, and after they won it in dominating fashion. So, I mean, they could beat something wild could happen with the Bengals here where they can like beat the Packers, but then they'll lose to the Jags and the Jets. So it's a very tough team to predict worst case scenario here. I'm just thinking they're probably in that 6-10 range, more realistically 6-8, 9 range. So back to my actual predictions. But again, it's a team that can beat anybody and lose anybody. It's one of those teams. There's quite a few of those teams. But it's definitely one of those teams there. And that was no, we had 7. We had a 7-win season. We had them winning. Where do we have them losing here? That's what we had. We had 8 wins. Vikings, Bears. We started 0-3. Oh no, Packers. I forgot to switch the Packers game. So we had them 7-10. Again, I think they're heading in the right direction. People talk about their offensive line. They worry about their offensive line. I am a little worried about their offensive line. I do think it's maybe a little better, not saying much, a little better than people are saying it is. You know, a guy like Quentin Spain, I actually like on the inside. No, not too many people familiar with him. Riley Reiff didn't play all too well for the Vikings last year, but he's moving to right tackle. See if Jonah Williams stays healthy and gets better. My point, what I was getting to was, the offensive line really isn't the biggest need for me going forward. I actually think edge rush. I know they get a guy like Osai. To me, he's kind of a hybrid player, blitzing, stunt, use him as a stunt. Could play off the ball. I know they added Trey Hendrickson. We'll see how he does. The good thing is he got a lot of production while not playing that many snaps, but there's a reason he didn't play that many snaps, and they were on obvious passing downs where 3 or 4 edge rushers are in the game, so they kind of created for him. So does he have those people to create for him? That's kind of the question. They got some linebackers. Again, Osai I view as more of a linebacker. I know the Bengals run a little bit of a hybrid defense, switching things off, but a guy like Jermaine Pratt, some of those guys could blitz. And they bring in a guy like Mike Hilton, who is a slot corner who blitzes at a pretty high level, actually, which you don't think is much of a factor. But you throw in that with the linebackers they have, the hybrid players they have that are pretty versatile, that they can blitz. This might be one of the top blitzing teams in football. They might be trying to mimic what the Ravens are doing over there. And they built the secondary enough that the key when you're blitzing is to have as close of a lockdown secondary as you can. So it becomes more important than normal if you're a blitzing team. I think that's what they're going to do over there. So they can be sneaky. Looking at offense, they can run the ball a little more effectively. That gets the running game going, and that by default opens up the passing. It makes the passing game easier, and you have your variety of wide receivers. Excited about Jamar Chase. You guys know I love Tyler Boyd. Obviously, T. Higgins is very solid. And then defensively, again, love the secondary. I'm a huge Jesse Bates. The Bengals got some guys that are just like my guys. Always been a huge Jesse Bates guy, Tyler Boyd guy. Love the secondary, and they can be sneaky in terms of the blitzing game. I'd watch out for them in the blitzing game. So that could turn around the pass rush. I worry about their actual edge rush, but if they're the Ravens, they don't really have that great of an edge rush, but they're so good at blitzing, and they have such a good secondary where it just makes them a good defense. The Bengals, they're not going to be the Ravens, but they can be pretty damn sneaky in that because of what I just said there, basically. So this is a team I'm excited about. Maybe right when the season ended, I probably would have predicted a record a little more, but that was before seeing what they did in the offseason. I thought they would do a little more, plus keep a guy like Lawson or William Jackson or both. So that was a little tough, but they started heading in the right direction. They got some really good ball players in the draft as well. Really excited about Joe Burrow there. So that is my Bengals prediction. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Remember, go over to Twitter to vote for who will win this division, just like every other division we'll eventually have up, or already did have up. Playlist full of these videos. We are doing every single team. Smash that like button while you're here. Subscribe while you're here. All that much appreciated. But again, link for the Twitter and anything else down below. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.